Region Review.
The Ragin' Cajuns will be a source of pride for this university, for the alumni, fans, and donors as we achieve success in the classroom, in the competitive arena, and in the community.
It's about to get really fun.
We're looking for dudes that will stand up. Well, Coach, let me tell you today, I'm here and I'm ready to stand up. And I challenge you, Ragin' Cajun Nation, to stand up with us. Stand up with us. Let's lock hand in hand and let's walk through the gates of Omaha.
Hey, I love y'all boys. Let's grind every day starting today. Let's do it. Y'all ready? Alert! Ready? Who's that team ready? Who's that team ready? That's up.
I got one thing to say right here. Cajuns win!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to Ragin' Review on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. It's even more beautiful when the Cajuns win, baby. Cajuns get the weekend sweep over the Georgia State Panthers in 28 runs scored in 3 games, 28-3. I had to highlight that earlier today. Very excited about that. Boys, before we get to the game, how was your weekend? Let's start with you, cardiac commenter.
I mean, it was good. My hockey team didn't do well.
I saw that, yeah.
I didn't hit a single ticket at the Derby, which hasn't happened in like 6 years. So not great about that.
Guess who I hit at the Derby, by the way?
Who
won the Derby?
Well, Sovereignty was, if we want to get into Derby, I mean, we'll let Lane talk about his weekend first, but let's talk some Derby. I'm in.
All right, Lane, how was your weekend, though?
It was good, man. I beat Josh's team in hockey, so that kind of helped a little bit. It was actually a good series. Game 7
it was really good.
Game 7 in NHL is better than any other playoff out there. Got to watch the spring game and watch a little bit of softball this weekend on top of baseball. So that was a fun weekend for sure.
Yeah, we'll totally get into softball and the spring game and baseball and all that. But I got to ask you, Josh, I know you were riding hard on Owen in that race, and I put some money down and I ended up winning a little bit, so I was happy. And as you watched the race, it was like, all right, yeah, I'm out, I'm done. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ian Journalism came out and got it done. But yeah, tell me about your Jersey betting and the Derby betting and how you fared out on that.
Yeah, Derby didn't go great, but I gotta say something about the Stars. Dallas Stars were out their best defenseman and their best forward, and that was one of the better series I've seen in several years of the playoffs. And what was so great, I'm an Avs fan, obviously, and Mikko Rantanen got traded to Dallas halfway through the season because of some financial issues that they couldn't work out. And all dude does is, I want to say probably throughout the first 4 games, he was a -3 while he was on the ice, and then scores a hat trick to win in Game 7. I mean, that's legendary stuff. That's folklore stuff of hockey. So I'm not even angry because Mikko is has been one of my favorite players since he's been with the Avs. And then when we traded him, I was devastated. But it's hard to get upset about that kind of a playoff performance when you know the guy deserved it, especially after the Dallas fans were getting on him for not producing early in the series.
What's crazy is it happened in less than a period.
It was like 12 minutes.
Period. Yeah, there was 12 minutes left. They're down 2-0, and they came back and won 4-2. I mean, you just can't make that up.
In Game 7 with Mikko. I mean, so anyway, shout out to the Stars. I mean, they are a legitimate bona fide Stanley Cup contender, and I know probably not a lot of people out there are watching hockey, but it was really fun to watch that series. The Derby, everybody was going gaga over Journalism's speed number, and I think one of the guys was talking about how he finished first at Santa Anita, and I think his speed number was 108, and if you took away the last eighth of the leg, it was 114, and they were just slobbering over it. And with a wet track, with a heavy track, I thought that a strong horse would win, not necessarily a fast horse. Now, the track didn't necessarily play like a mud track. It really didn't affect the speed and the flow of traffic, if you want to say. But Sovereignty was easily the best horse on the board. I'm always about value because if you're betting the race, you're looking for value. I had Burnham Square because obviously Brian Hernandez, a distant family cousin, is the jockey for Burnham Square. Didn't have a great race. Owen Almighty was a 40-1 odd, and he ended up finishing 5th. So I did take a box bet flyer on him, almost hit that. But I thought it was a good, clean race. And I thought the top 3 horses, and I almost hit a trifecta on there, but Sandman fell back behind. I thought the best 3 horses were at least 3 of the 4 finishers in the top 4. So it was a good Derby. The Kentucky Oaks was really, I know a lot of people don't watch the Friday races, but the Kentucky Oaks is a filly race. It's probably the most famous filly race in the world. That was a great race. One of the best finishes you saw all weekend. And I don't know if people know this, but there's more than just the Derby on Derby weekend. There are several races each day. But it was fun. It was riveting. It was a good race. The rain kind of sucked. I know all that stuff. But as far as value goes, Owen Almighty way far outperformed his odd. And Baeza. I was heavy on Baeza late. I thought the value was there. And I think Baeza ended up finishing 3rd or 4th. I can't remember where it was. But it was fun. For horse riders and horse racers and people that are into that kind of thing, it didn't disappoint even with the conditions.
And I failed to mention the other day, I was talking about my dad and horse racing and how my family was into it. My dad was a jockey back in the day, and I don't know if I forgot it or didn't know it. I'm not sure that I knew it. I think it might be in the back of my brain somewhere, but I thought that was pretty cool. And then he cooked for the jockeys and had some great, really, really cool stories. Josh, next time you come, we need to pick his brain on that. But all in all, like I said, when it's a muddy track like that, you never know. I mean, that just throws another wrench into what you think will happen. But it was a good time with good people at my house, by the way. I know I talked to you guys all weekend because it was a lot of fun, but was graced by the presence of Chase Morgan's family. His parents came over this weekend for a crawfish boil I was having. Reese Burns and his fiance, by the way, not girlfriend, fiance Morgan, they came over as well. The legendary roast beef Ron man made an appearance. He was in the area, came over with his family. Dude, I was in the presence of some real awesome people this weekend. I got to tell you, that was one of the better weekends.
The names of Nick's just out here uniting folks, just reaching across the aisle, pulling them all into Houston.
That's what I'm saying, man. So I'm gonna have to do that a little bit more often. I know I say I'm gonna have watch parties and stuff, but just great people this weekend. Got to watch the Derby with some of them. Reese was a witness to my being very excited and calling the race beforehand, by the way. Reese can tell you if he's watching today, which is his fiance said we're legends in Lafayette. We're famous in Lafayette, according to Morgan. So if that's the case and they're watching, Reese can attest that I called the race and was very excited about my win. So all in all, a great weekend. Beautiful weather today. I know it's going to be nasty later this week, but what also was great was watching the Cajuns play in Atlanta against Georgia State, of course, getting the 3-game sweep. I'm not going to go game by game. I think if you watched any of the 3 games, they all went pretty much according, or not according to plan, but they all looked the same. We hit for power. We had timely hitting. Base running drove us crazy sometimes. The pitching was amazing this weekend, and we'll talk about some of those pitchers this weekend. When you look at, let's talk about it now. When you look at Tate Hess's performance on Friday, Herman and Hammer yesterday, McGeehee coming in today, it was a great performance on the mound to complement the hitting. And I know we're going to go back and say, oh man, we're back. Let's pause for a second. Okay. Let's pause. It is Georgia State. We did get the sweep, but we faced really stiff competition next weekend, which we'll talk about later this week. But before we get to all that, I do want to enjoy the win. And I do want to say guys like Donkey stepped up, guys like, as I said, the pitchers that I mentioned stepped up, Josh, and Higgs did his job. We still got to work on some of the bunting fundamentals because there were a couple of times where that burned us this weekend. But man, when you see us put it together over 3 games and have some consistency over the weekend, this is the time that we needed to start seeing that. And I think it started last weekend. It's going into this week. I mean, hell, we won 5 out of 6 games over the last 2 weeks. I'm feeling a lot better than I did a month ago. I can tell you that much, Josh.
Well, usually when the fans start feeling away, the guys are starting to feel that too. I would argue, if I'm being honest, I'd argue we played the same baseball we played the last 2 weeks. The difference is the older hitters hit. And look, my comments are going to be predicated upon this fact. Georgia State plays in a park that is conducive to the long ball, power hitting, bigger alleys. You're going to hit the baseball up there usually. They have a team ERA of, I think it was like 7.6, something like that, going into this series. This is not a team that's going to pitch you to death. This is a team that is going to out-hit you if they're going to win. Having said all those things, you can read between the lines and see you had very strong weekends, not just Friday, Sunday, or just Saturday. Or you had strong weekends from Caleb Stelly. Lee Amade got into something on Saturday. Higgs continues to have probably the quietest All-American season in the history of Sunbelt baseball. In my opinion, should be a contender for Sunbelt Player of the Year, considering he's carried this lineup on his own. And then obviously Donkey. Marco's working through some things. He's still getting healthy. I still thought he had several quality at bats. Maybe didn't produce as much as you'd like to see there, but I think that he's trending, and that's all you want to be doing going into the last series of the season and going into the conference tournament, especially knowing that you got to win it to get in. So I think, look, J.R. Tillett had another quality start on a Sunday. When has he had any that doesn't add up to a quality start on a Sunday? I think he's been quality every time.
I agree.
So he was him. Herman was good again. Herman is topping out at 87, 88 miles per hour. I don't know if y'all saw that. So he's feeling great, and he's been consistent. And look, I saw I got some text messages, and I saw some social media comments about Chase not being too sharp on Friday. And I tend to agree with that, but, from what I understand, Chase is dealing with some pain, and hopefully it's nothing. But also this, y'all, like, Chase has been under pressure all season. I know in a lot of ways he's feeling pressure to continue to be the catalyst to get the momentum going positive towards the end of the season. So if you can just, humanize him for a second, maybe he thought, hey, Georgia State on the road, I think my guys are going to produce at the dish tonight. Maybe he didn't have that edge that he typically has on a Friday, and maybe that cutter didn't cut just as much, and maybe that fastball didn't run just as much. I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm just giving you an idea of maybe how it goes. Competitors like Chase and your upper echelon competitors, when it's Friday night and the lights are on bright and it's Sunbelt tournament time or it's USM time, that's when they're their best. I don't take that performance to mean that he's declining in any way, shape, or form. I think that maybe it was just one of those nights where he thought he could go out and maybe just beat a team where he didn't have his best stuff. And that's fine with me. So anybody who's saying that Chase didn't have his best stuff on Friday, not necessarily wrong, but I don't think it's indicative of what's coming. I just wanted to say that. But look, as much as we complain about the offense and the little things, the tertiary things that Deggs overcoaches like he did last weekend and cost us a sweep, we can get into that if you want. I didn't get to comment on that. We didn't kill ourselves on the base pads too many times this weekend. We didn't compound mistakes in the field. We had quality at bats. We produced when necessary. We showed that we could score in multiple innings. We didn't just have a big inning and go quiet, which is something that we do. And those are some overall thoughts from the weekend. I thought we played the way we've been playing, which is a great sign, but the older guys hit the baseball.
Hold that thought about last week, because I want to get back to that after we wrap up this weekend, because I do want to get your thoughts about that. Lane, before I go to you, I just want to mention, you were talking about Lee Amade, 15 doubles on the season. I mean, and that's quietly 15 doubles on the season, because Lee struggled at times at the plate and has been frustrating for him. And you see it. It is frustrating for us as well, but he's second in the entire Sun Belt Conference in doubles. So he's quietly built that stat. And that's what we need from a guy with experience like Lee.
In doubles?
He is second in the Sun Belt in doubles.
That's a shocking stat.
Because it's quiet. He's done it quietly.
Shocking. Yeah. That means that basically every hit he's had this season was a double.
Well, pretty much, almost. Touche, Josh.
And I say that with love. I do.
Lane, your thoughts on the weekend, then we'll go back to Josh. I want to get his comments for some of the mistakes and base running and all that from earlier last week. But your thoughts overall on the weekend series with Georgia State this weekend.
So it was a good series overall. We finally got to see the older guys put it together and get the hits that we needed, get the clutch hits, get the home runs. It was also good seeing the pitching staff perform the way they did against, albeit an inferior team. I mean, Georgia State hadn't been that great. We pretty much own the record against them. We're now 21-2 or 20-2 against them since we started playing them. But yeah, it was good seeing the guys get off to what we expected them to, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this weekend or this next week.
Well, I know it's easy to say, well, they're not that great, but they were 24-22 coming into the game against us. They had a better record. Now, not in conference, but they had a better record than we did. Now, I will say, like you alluded to, or you said, Josh, they play in a little league ballpark, and you hit it up the alleys, it's going to travel a while. So I think that benefited us because we don't play in a hitter's ballpark in the Teague. It's hard to get a ball, when you get it up in the air and it gets caught in that humidity. So we took advantage of that this week. I wish you could play at the Georgia State field every week because we'd be breaking NCAA records. But again, you want to say, oh, well, they're a crap team. Well, they're still fighting, in the middle of the pack to try to get into the tournament in a good position. And we went in and swept them. So I don't buy into that they're not that great. I just think because we have been so good against them historically that it seems that way. Right, Lane? Josh, let's go back and talk about what you mentioned about the mistakes. The mistakes, as you said, we almost compound the mistakes. We make one mistake and then we make another. And then it's like you go into this dark hole and then we look like the bad news bears. You didn't see that this weekend. We had a couple of miscues on the bases, a couple of really bad bunts laid down that didn't go our way, but we never let it get to us. And it wasn't compounded by another mistake after another mistake, etc. You wanted to talk about last week. I want to hear your thoughts on the last couple of weeks and what the difference has been through this weekend series.
Well, I'll talk about one particular moment, okay? And I think the last time I was on, maybe 3 weeks ago, you and I it was you and I, we were talking about the fact that these guys are human. They feel pressure. They understand that there's a standard and they're not living up to it. And one thing leads to another. And it's easy to talk about the older guys playing well and hitting the baseball and doing the things that you need to do in order to play winning baseball. Talk about winning baseball. I think that we started to lean on the young guys so much that when they started to feel pressure as inexperienced players, when it starts to cave in, it's ugly. And I think that when you can lean on an older guys and let them lead the way they're supposed to, the way that this team dynamic is built, you can make a mistake or two and still feel comfortable to go out and play. And I saw a lot less barking from the coaches this week. I saw I'm almost like their body language was a little bit more subdued. I don't know if y'all noticed that too, but in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, what does this mean from a human aspect? What does it mean? Does it mean that, we're nearing the end of the season? Our guys getting healthy and they feel a little more comfortable? Like, what does it mean? And I think after a sweep and after, some mistakes, but nothing that's going to make you lose a game, not losing baseball, were the coaches able to relax because of the result? Or did the coaches relax and then the result came? I asked myself those questions. I'll give you a perfect example. It's last Sunday, sitting in the Teague. It's first and second. And we were kind of struggling to get runs across on Sunday. It's first and second. There's nobody out. You get the top of the lineup coming up. All right. And we steal. And we get thrown in a third. And we ultimately don't score. I think it was in the sixth or seventh inning. And we end up losing the game. J.R. Tillett comes back. He gives up 3 runs. I'm not sure if they were all earned. I think they were. But imagine if we tie the game at 4-3. Imagine if we go ahead further than, I think at the time it was 3-1. Just imagine how that game plays out if the offense is able to just do their job. If we execute a sac bunt, if we just play, Cajun baseball. We're not out here asking guys to hit 450-foot home runs. Like in this moment, we need a run. We need to scratch a run. And I think again in the 9th, maybe it was the 8th, we had an opportunity to do the same thing. And of course we couldn't execute and we didn't tie the game. I thought that was a coach pressing. Now, I was told I think it was from one of y'all, that Mandino ran on his own, that he read the downward angle. If you go back and watch the replay, and I saw this in the suite while I was there, both runners broke at the same time. So it definitely wasn't I'm running on my own. And even if the batter misses the sign, okay, I think it was on an 0-1 count. Now, don't hold me to that because it's been a couple weeks. I had a couple beers and slept a few times. But I think it was an 0-1 count. Hardly a runner's count. Hardly an action pitch count. Okay? I'm talking about all the old-timers that we sit around in 108, like Mr. Line and a few others, player parents and coaches that I know that sit around us, are yelling on the field, what are you doing? Why would you do that? Let the game come to you. Let the game play out. Why would you make that? Why would you even take that risk? And Nick, we've seen that too many times this year. And my feelings about how Deggs manages games are well known, so I won't get into it. But when you put it into perspective and you bring it into this weekend, we felt desperate last weekend trying to get that home sweep on a Sunday in particular, and then this weekend it didn't feel that way. And I guess you can say, well, they got some clutch 2-out hits and they produce runs and they hit the ball over the fence. And okay, maybe so, maybe that. But the problem is that when we're not doing those things, you can't compound the issue by trying to force the issue with guys that don't execute. We're in game 49. We know who we are. Okay, it's your job as the coach to use your personnel to their best ability, to their most efficient use. And if you're still trying to get Jose Torres to drop a bunt when he's your most clutch hitter instead of, trusting him to hit a ball on Saturday, I'm sorry. I'm never going to get behind that. I'm not saying that Cheo can't bunt the baseball. We know he can. We've seen it. But if your most clutch hitter is up with a clutch situation on the line, why not let him hit? You know what I mean? It's like it's almost. Ryan and I were talking about this. It's like it's almost as if he tries to make it harder than it has to be. I know a lot of people don't. It's not just me.
Yeah, I've said it several times this season. It feels he makes it difficult.
It feels forced. It feels like he makes it difficult. I don't know if he does it on purpose to try to sharpen the guys. I don't know. I'm not in a dugout. I don't know. But as a fan, as a conscientious observer, as a baseball purist, I would call myself a purist. I'm traditionalist. I don't get it. I just don't freaking get it. And you saw that on Sunday. I have never been more angry at Matt Deggs than last Sunday. And look, in the end, it could be a throwaway game and it could be a throwaway moment. But to me, if I'm in the dugout and I see us mounting a comeback and he does something like that, you lose me there. And maybe you'll get me back on Monday. Of course, I want to compete and all that stuff. As an athlete, though, you lose me there. You saw stupidity yesterday. Brooks Wright comes up. He takes 3 pitches. He's down 1-2. Apparently, he didn't execute something. Deggs pulls him with a 1-2 count. And I forgot who it was that came in, but he struck out. In my mind, like, if it's a coachable moment, pull him to the side. Tell him, listen, dude, that's not the call. You missed the sign, whatever the case may be. And then you send his freaking ass up there and you force him to have an at-bat. But instead, you give some guy that's cold off the bench 1 pitch, and he struck out. Some of it just doesn't make sense. Some of it, Casey Artigue, thank you, Zookeeper. Some of it just, it's well beyond, we're going to push the limits of baseball. We're going to push the limits of traditionalists. Some of it literally is hitting on 19, like you said about Dan. Hitting on 19. The guy he just cannot freaking help himself. He's got to make a point. Got to be the smartest man in the room. Got to do it. And with all that being said, I'm glad we swept this weekend. But it's aggravating. It's aggravating.
And we get on here and we bitch about it and we know it's coming. It's like when you see the accident about to happen and then it happens and you get pissed off because you knew it was going to happen and you said it was going to happen and nobody listened to you and it happened. This is what we go through every week when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Before
and we
we
still
move on
get
to anything else,
infuriated.
I want to know who was y'all's MVP for the weekend.
MVP for the weekend, I'm going with Tate Hess just because of his unbelievable performance. Donkey is probably a close, 1A or 1B. Josh, what are your thoughts?
I listen. It's an easy answer. I'm gonna go pitcher and position player. Having Donkey see some power, having Donkey see the ball hop off the bat, that is the single most healthy thing that we can see right now because this lineup has no pop. Lineup lacks pop. As soon as Donkey starts hitting the baseball out into the gaps and over the fence, this offense will change. It'll hit a new gear. So I'm gonna say, if not the MVP, the brightest sign for me is Donkey hitting the baseball hard, and then J.R. Tillett coming in and just bookending it. I know Tate Hess had a whale of a game to relieve. You relieved Friday or Saturday?
Tate Hess was on Friday night. He came in after Morgan. Yeah.
All right. Came in Friday and had 5 strong or 6 strong, whatever it was, helped us win the game. But J.R. Tillett has been in situations over and over and over where he comes out and dumps his soul onto the field and we can't help him at the dish. We did that and he was just himself. And I thought he was actually even better this week. He gave up that double early. And I know he gave up a run in the first inning, but after that, they got nothing. They beat everything into the ground. He's having that guy on Sunday. He gives me hope in the tournament because if you can go 2-0 and get to that next round and you got J.R. Tillett against their number 3, I'll take J.R. Tillett.
Or maybe they're number 4 because maybe they had a play-in game, But another thing, too, you have to think about, Hammer came in with bases loaded. We were in a big jam. And what does he do? He strikes out 3 in a row to end the inning. Like, that was a big moment for him that he could have folded. That was awesome, too. So that's a good question, Lane. Who are your MVPs this weekend?
I'd have to go with Higgs. I mean, he continues to see the ball and hit the ball over the fence, even if some of them are solo shots, which we probably hold the record this season for most solo shots. But on the mound, I'd have to go with Tate Hess. You come in after Morgan and just finish off the game. And that's what we've been wanting our team to do, is not give Chase a loss on the year. And he did that. So that's who I'm going with.
Final thought on Georgia State baseball this weekend. If Georgia State's baseball stadium were food, it would be Preston Guy's Gumbo. I am not saying that. I'm getting that from River Ranch Ball. He's going to claim I'm attacking his wife, so I'm not going there. He's claim anybody who mentions his wife's gumbo, he just claims that they're attacking his wife. I'm not going down that path today. I'm taking the higher road. Let's take a look at the conference standings. As of today, Coastal Carolina leading at 19-4, Southern Miss at 18-6, followed by Troy at 15-8. I don't know, is Troy playing? I guess, is Troy still playing? I don't know if that's updated. Josh, do you know?
Don't know. I was going to ask you the same question. I would assume.
Let me double check.
Okay, stat guy Lane is going to check on that. Louisiana right now, according to this, is at 15-9 in 4th place. And then you've got Texas State, Old Dominion at 12-12, followed by App State and Georgia Southern at 11-12, 11-13, and you just go down the list. But you're kind of starting to see how the conference tournament may kind of pan out. It looks like the Cajuns are in really, really good shape, even facing Southern Miss this weekend. That's going to be a tough battle over in Hattiesburg, but still right now at 15-9 in a good position for the tournament, even if they drop a game or two this weekend. So like what I'm seeing here, and the Cajuns still got to still get some dubs over the next couple of weeks. Of course, we close it out the following weekend, hosting Arkansas State. And boys, we're going to get later this week into the Southern Mississippi University something Eagles. I don't know, whatever they call themselves. We'll talk about them later this week. I'm sure it's going to be a hate week coming up, but I want to enjoy this weekend sweep for a little bit longer. Somebody correcting in Josh or Bryce, excuse me, saying Troy is now 16-8. That makes a little bit more sense to me. So really just trying to
they finished off South Alabama today by 1 run.
Yeah, so really trying to maintain that 4th place lead, because again, that gets us a bye in the first round of the tournament, which is huge, and we certainly need to do our best to save our pitching. So, how are you guys feeling?
I will say this though, Nick. I regardless of results this next coming up weekend, I know it's against Southern Miss and all this. I love having Southern Miss at this time in the year because you see the swing. You saw how we started. You know, there were some ups and downs. There was still some hope. We had a few injuries. You saw the lull, and then you've seen an improvement and then a step back, and then an improvement and then a step back. I like where we are. I know a lot of people probably will not take kindly to that comment. I know that we've underperformed, and I know that this is not at all where we expected to be. I got all that. Okay, just stay with me. If we're talking specifically about this season, if we want to make a regional, which is, of course, our goal, I love, having an opportunity to sweep the last 2 weekends, accomplishing that this weekend, and then moving on to our rival, a tough environment, a very, very good baseball team, a top 25 baseball team. And then the very next thing you do is get on a bus and you go to Montgomery. I love it. We're going to be tested. We're going to see who can play. We're going to see who's going to be ready for the moment. I think there's some young guys that are ready to do this. Shout out Destiny. Anyway, making the trip. We've actually been talking about it the last few days, and I think we're going to be there Saturday. So I'm open to any free beers, food, etc. Just
don't trust anything they serve you. No,
hit the Twitter.
Don't trust anything those people serve you, dude. Come on, you know better. You know better than that. I'm just kidding.
They got a couple of Keg and Barrel is actually a pretty nice spot. I'm a big fan.
Every time I say anything, I'm just waiting for that Cloverfield Mall guy to put me in the, you saying, look what he said about us, ha ha ha, and then next thing you know, he's like a thread with me, and then the freaking Ernie and Bert and Ernie, I don't know, whatever. Anyway,
he's a treasure, but yeah, like I was saying, I love going into Southern Miss right now. I do. We're gonna see who's gonna. They might sweep us, but we might actually improve in positions and areas that we wouldn't have in the last month.
Agreed.
With a sweep at Southern Miss, just because of, like I said, the competition, the stakes, everything involved. So I'm looking forward to it. It's not like we're taking a team in there that can't compete. We're taking some guys in there that will throw down. We have a few of those. I want to see how many we can drag with us, how many more we can drag with us to build up. Who's going to go compete at a high level, especially these young guys.
I do
totally agree with you.
I do feel like our pitching matchups are better than theirs. I mean, the Friday matchup is going to be really good, but I don't think they have the Saturday, Sunday guy like we do.
Lane, you're putting it on tape, man. You're putting it on tape.
Their offense is really good, and that's probably the main reason why they're ranked. But
it's the bullpen for me.
We feel like we can compete.
I think they have 5 guys that can get it done as in a starting role, especially in a tournament situation. I think Colby Allen is like their second or third best pitcher, which is terrifying. But their bullpen at this point in the season, and so I'm begging for some of these guys to prove me wrong in Vermin White. I am. But their bullpen is good. It's quality. And we played
Arkansas State. Yeah, you gave up 3. You played Arkansas State. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Yeah, let's move on. We'll get into that later this week. I don't want to get too much into Southern Mississippi University of whatever. We'll talk about them later this week, but I do want to get into softball because guess what? We got a sweep, boys, over the Southern Mississippi University of Eagles, Golden, whatever. If Hattiesburg this weekend, 3 straight games won against the Golden Eagles in Lafayette, and that puts us at a solid 3rd place in the Sun Belt Conference tournament. If you would have told me that like 4 weeks ago, I would have said, God bless you. Yes, but you're smoking something. But we ended up putting it together. Mallory Wheeler getting an amazing no-hitter. In fact, she was a walk away from a perfect game, which is amazing. I know it's only 7 innings, but still the fact that she put together that kind of game on the mound as a freshman is absolutely amazing, boys. How are you guys feeling about softball going into the conference tournament? You got to feel like, one, you got to feel happy about how it ended in their 3rd place in the tournament and going in there on a high note. Secondly, what is success for the Cajun softball team this season? Is it winning the tournament? Is it getting to the finals in the tournament? What is your idea, regardless of everything, or I guess you can say regardless, in lieu of everything happening this season, what is success for you in the conference tournament? Josh, I'll start with you.
Well, some of this is very ignorant because I haven't been able to watch them very much lately. But if you look at the results and the things they've been able to accomplish later in the season, it seems like, coaching staff is doing some work because you got young people really impressing. Didn't Mallory throw 2 no-hitters this year, Lane?
Definitely one.
Second one.
Definitely one this weekend. I'm not sure.
I think this is her second one, but still, you have a freshman out there throwing a no-hitter. That's a big deal, especially in a conference game, especially down the stretch when it's really important. I don't know, man. It's hard to comment on this season without talking about all the things that they've had to overcome. This is still a team that has 3 or 4 P4 wins, so you know that they have enough talent to compete at a high level. And we've said it multiple times. Pitching is going to dictate how this all ends up. And if you've got Mallory and Ryan pitching well, it's the Sun Belt Conference tournament. This is why the tournament's so good. They thought they could keep us out of regionals. Well, maybe they're mistaken. That would be so cool to come from a 3 seed when they thought, the demise of the Cajuns had arrived. And then you put together this young team, this hurt team, this team that pulled a catcher out of retirement, essentially, built a team in the offseason basically a month before first pitch. I know it's easier to talk about the off-field stuff than the on-field stuff because there's so much content. I saw Dave talking about Texas Tech won the Big 12, and
we're gonna get into that in a second. Yeah.
Okay, I'll hold my comments then.
Good.
But no, dude. I mean, certainly you can win the conference from a 3 seed, no question about it. The format is: do we play? How does the format work this year? Didn't they change it recently? Lane, you probably know more than we do.
Let me look it up. I gotta go to the Sunbelt website.
Regardless, if Ryan and Mallory can pitch, dude, look, these girls can score runs. I mean, they can compete. Like we said, the P4 wins speak for themselves. It's all going to come down to how they're playing at what time. And right now, seems like they're playing good softball. I mean, they just went up to Texas State and beat them 2 out of 3. I know Texas State's the 1 seed, and if I look at their results, they're okay right now. Maybe they're trending in the other direction. Maybe we catch them at a good time. It's going to come down to who's in the circle. We need at least 2. We need 2 pitchers to step up. Mallory's got to do her thing, and then she's got to continue to get better, and she has. I mean, there's not much you can say about her. She's been steadily improving throughout the game, the season. Are they healthy? They're obviously pitching well right now. It's anybody's matchup.
And hey, I threw it up here, Lane, too.
Yeah.
So we have a bye for the quarters.
It's a single elimination, but our side sets up better than the other side. Because I mean, you got Texas State and ULM, who just faced off this past weekend for first place. You got Troy, who's hosting the tournament, and then we can get our revenge on Marshall early, hopefully.
I really like this.
I like our chances against App State.
So Coastal ended up being the 7 seed?
Yep.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Shocking.
But I mean,
what's
it's
crazy
3 freaking great. It's 3 games to the championship, which you gotta love, man.
We like, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were 11th. We won 9 of 10 games and ended up 3rd. Like, you can't be happier for the program and for Coach Abbott's. I mean, what she had to deal with in the offseason and to still have a winning record despite all of that. I mean, they still have the chance to continue their streak in postseason play. I want to say they've made it 25 straight years.
Yeah,
this would be the most impressive on it, I think, Josh.
There's absolutely, there's no question. To answer your question, what is success? Looking at this bracket, I would say at least getting to the championship game would be a successful run in the tournament and this season, probably overachieving a little bit. But yeah, man, if they can figure out a way to make a regional after all this, I don't even know if there are words to explain how big of an accomplishment that is. But I can tell you this: going into this tournament, Louisiana across the chest still means something in softball, especially in the Sun Belt. So, maybe Marshall presses a little bit. Maybe Texas State remembers that loss that they just took playing Louisiana, the big dog of the Sun Belt Conference for, every year since they've been in it. That's anybody's tournament. That's anybody's bracket for sure. Get them to a championship. Who knows?
And let's talk
ULM
about
finally struggled, so that kind of shows that they're beatable as well.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Well, let's go back because you wanted to kind of talk about it, Josh, but let's talk about Texas Tech and how they won their conference and, pimping how great they are. Let's talk about how many Cajun players from last year on that team. Lauren Allred, I think Victoria Valdez was on that team, maybe. That name rings a bell. Obviously,
catcher.
Alexa Langoliers now over there. Mahia Davis. I mean, Chloe Riosetto. And then you also lose, Sam, who goes to Oklahoma, who's arguably, if not the best, one of the best pitchers in all of college softball.
Who got drafted number 1.
I know I said Mahia. I meant Maya Davis. Sorry, guys. But
professional draft.
So she is, it's just crazy to me. I guess you're going to pip it if it's your school, but it just pisses me off, man. And Brooke Elstad, yeah, she's there as well. But it's like, this is the state of
Alabama.
Oh, that's true. She went to Alabama. This is the state of college sports. Like, doesn't matter. Loyalty isn't a thing. And you said it, Josh, earlier. You never felt like Glasgow was a business transaction when he was here. You never felt like he was truly a Cajun guy. You felt like he was a coach, and that was
mercenary.
A mercenary, exactly. So I don't know, man. It just rubs me the wrong way, and maybe I'm just a bitter fan. But when you see your entire roster turnover because of one guy who decides, in the worst possible time of the season for us, I'm just going to go there and get some money, and we're just going to buy these players. And you basically bought a roster, and now you're saying, look how great we are. Well, yeah, if we bought a roster, we'd be really good too. Look what we're.
I believe they spent $1 million on one pitcher.
That's just stupid. So, Josh, your thoughts on bragging about how great your team is when you basically just bought a roster and took half of our players from last year.
Well, Dave said it was impressive, and my question was, is it impressive? You bought two. Allred was a freshman All-American. I think Maya Davis was also a freshman All-American, but maybe she was just a regular All-American when she hit 400 in her sophomore year. I can't remember all the accolades and what years they occurred, but those players are bona fide stars. You took Chloe Riosetto, who ended up being our best pitcher last year. In the end, Sam was still Sam, but you got to have somebody else. And I guess besides Sam, she was our best pitcher. But we did go to Chloe quite a bit of times in some clutch situations. So, she went out there and had a great season. Look, you revamped a team with a team that you took from Louisiana. And even with all that being said, and those players are all fantastic players, you took a team, Texas Tech, who won 29 games last year, and you won 42 games. So you improved them by 13 games in a very, very mediocre Big 12 outside of, well, I guess Oklahoma left for the SEC, so they're not even there. The Big 12 is a very mediocre league. They are. So is it impressive that he took all the money and then he bought a roster and then he won a bad Big 12 or average Big 12? I'm not impressed by that. I would say that that's what he should have done with all the resources he was given and playing in that league. Is it impressive? No, I'm not impressed by that. I thought it would happen. He's supposed to be this great coach with all these great connections, but he had to go to Louisiana to find all his players. That's still kind of baffling to me. But no, I'm not impressed by that. I'm not.
I'm with you.
He won a bad conference.
And the most infuriating part of it is college athletics is the only one that you can literally do this. You could say, well, the Yankees do it. Yeah, but they also have to pay a luxury tax. Like there is a repercussion from just paying guys and to build a roster. And then, by the way, they don't always win. We see that. So it doesn't always work out there. But college athletics right now, the way it's built, you just put money down, you write a check, and you build the roster however you want it. You're seeing it down the road. They're doing it, at TSAB right now. They're writing these huge checks for all these players, especially in football. What if that doesn't translate to a natty next year?
Well, you see it happening with
even
these
if it
guys that are
does,
transferring all over and getting sued.
Right. And even if you do win a natty, how is that sustainable? You're going to keep getting money from people who are just throwing money at you for no reason? Because
it also begs the question, just how much is winning a national championship worth? Because we're throwing around a lot of money.
Well, look at
how
Texas.
much is a national championship worth? It must be hundreds of millions.
Look at Texas. How much money are they spending? I think they said 30 to 40 million.
Yeah, for next season. That's insane.
It's like 40, 45 million. Yeah.
That's not sustainable. I don't know. They got to do something. But anyway, that just highlights the stupidity of the college the college sports right now and how it's unfair. Number one, and then when you complain about it, when you say, well, just pay your players more. Well, where are we getting that from?
I hope we sneak into the regionals and we go to Lubbock. I'm telling you, I would make that trip.
That would be great.
That would be poetic justice.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm telling you, if we could find a way, if Allie could find a way to get into the tournament, and we get paired up with them in some shape or fashion, hopefully being a super, and we get to send his ass home. Oh my God, that would be peak.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. We'll see what happens. You never know. College softball luck. I am so impressed with Coach Allie. I don't want anybody other than her coaching this team right now because I don't know that anybody else could have done what what she is doing. Embezzle money and put it into the NIL budget. Interestingly enough, the guy who embezzled money from the hospital to give to LSU, he's on Twitter now. He's commenting on all kind of stuff for LSU. You think he'd try to lay low for a while? I wouldn't put my name in there.
That's how arrogant these people are, dude. They break the law and then they go talk about it on Twitter.
Well, look at Slick Willie, which I thought was actually funny because somebody went over to
for him.
Yeah, somebody actually. So somebody went and took a picture at Daryl's in Lake Charles, and on the table, the placemat, or I think it was actually the tablecloth, was LSU, and then it had like a QR code for their schedule or something. And I'm like, that's what you get for selling your soul. That's what you get for selling your soul, because the people that showed up at the games, they weren't McNeese fans. They were LSU fans pretending to be because they liked him. And so that's what you get.
Watch what happens now that he's gone. Watch what happens.
Yeah. We shall see, boys. All right. We'll turn our attention to the spring football game. Unfortunately, it wasn't streamed, so I didn't get to watch it, but did hear some great things from you guys. I'll start with you, Josh. I know you had a list of things that look good, that are concerns this season. Caden Jensen, I saw his one target and catch. So I was excited to throw more to the damn tight end. But it sounds like, as far as offensively, it sounds like we've got a real deal quarterback that's emerging as our number one. Samson looked really good as a wide receiver with a really, really nice catch that kind of bobbled around and made in the end zone. So talk about Walker Howard, talk about Samson, talk about offensive, defensive lines, the strengths and weaknesses that you saw. Like I said, I know you came up with this amazing rundown, so I'd love to hear more about it.
I have a lot to say, but I'll be efficient. You mentioned the tight end, so you opened the door. I know Caden only had the one target, but we had multiple targets, whether it be Vermillion or White. I mean, we were looking for the tight end, especially in short yardage. So, your boy was happy about that. Especially down in the red zone, we were looking for tight ends. We had multiple targets to tight ends. I'm thrilled. Maybe Walker Howard understands that the tight end is always open. Maybe, if Walker Howard can't do anything else, but he knows that the tight end is always open, it's a home run. We'll be ranked and we'll be in the CFP. I'm kidding, obviously, but it's great to see big physical tight ends being used in short yardage and in the red zone. I'm thrilled. I was very impressed by the size and strength of all wide receivers, but in particular, Samson. I knew he could catch the ball and I knew he could run. I had no idea that he would run as hard as he did. His yards after catch, I don't know how many there were, maybe not a ton, but trust me, he earned every single one of them. That dude catches the ball, tucks it, and just pushes forward. That, to me, as far as the passing game outside of the tight ends, was the most encouraging. I thought he had a rapport with Walker Howard. I don't know if they're working out together. Obviously, they spent some time, or maybe he spent some time in Baton Rouge together. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if they did, it's evident because they have something going on. There's chemistry there. If that guy can stay healthy, he's an all Sun Belt type receiver. He might, he might break records. And I know that's a hot take in May, but I'm telling you, there's something there. There's something there that he will be a problem on one side of the field. You can put him out on an island and he can make plays. So that's great. I love Lunch in the Wildcat package. We saw Bill Davis and Lunch together in the backfield a couple of times, and I'm just here to tell y'all, Lunch he has a Xeon build where he's just thick. Everything about him is thick. And obviously, to me, he's probably on the depth chart, maybe third. He might be fourth because I thought Sam Altman had a really nice spring. And Beal looked good. He did. He looked confident. He made quick decisions. I think Walker Howard is clearly your number one. I don't think anybody came even close. But Lunch is probably a third or fourth on the depth chart, but he needs to be on the field. We can't make the same mistake that we did with Lejean and not get him on the field in these packages. But I thought there was a concerted effort to get him out on the perimeter and run the football. He still possesses an arm where you have to respect the passing threat, but he can run the football. And you get him and Bill Davis, pick your poison. Who you want to get trucked by? It's going to be one of those guys. They're both thick. They're both physical. They can run you over. Continuing on the optimistic side, I like the way our linebackers run. I think the safeties are the strength of the team, even though we lost Telu. And I know that the depth is not great, but I think your front probably three can really – the ball hawks. They can run. They play great in the pass game, and they do a really nice job in run support. I think that as far as I'm concerned, I think your strength if it's not the safeties, I think your corners are in great positions. I really like Curly Reed. I think I said that to y'all. Curly Reed has a chance to be really, really good. Really good. Like Trey Amos good. And he's a little bit more physical and a little bigger. So I don't want to start saying names yet because I know things are going to change a little bit. Somebody's asking about Courtline Flowers. I think Courtline's done, right? I don't think he's back.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
Yeah, I think he's done. But I really like our back end on defense. Concerns, defensive line is still lean. They're still getting pushed around. We need to make strides on the defensive line. And that was not a strength last year. And I very often, as much as I could, said that Lamar Morgan built a defense a certain way. And it was going to be play that, quarters and 5-yard cushions on the outsides, try to keep everything in front of us, bend but don't break stuff. I don't like that. I never liked it, but it's going to take time to recover from that because when you build those type of defenses, you don't put a big emphasis on getting girth in the middle, and we don't have it. We don't have athletic guys like we did before 3-4 years ago. I'm glad that Mark Hockey's back on staff. I think he's going to get things trending in the right direction, but the defensive line right now has some holes, and we need to work on it. But I do like what Salgado's doing. I like the systems that he runs. I just think that we need to get a lot stronger in the middle, and time will tell. The edges, D-line was bad last year. Yeah, that's true. Tulane game absolutely exposed everything. They weren't good in the Wake game, and yeah. Wake is a lean ACC team, and they pushed us around. I know we won the game. I'm just telling you, defense in the trenches on defense, we got pushed around. That's a fact. So, look, the defensive line needs to get better. The edges seem to be okay. We tackled well on the edge. I was happy to see that. Tackling was not a strength last year. But like I said, defensive line, that's my major. We'll see. Offensive line, I thought the tackles not as athletic as you would want. I think that they have a long way to go. I know we're young and we're rebuilding in some areas. Wasn't too bad in the A and the B gaps. I thought, center, right and left guard did fine at times. I'd give it a C+, B-. I think we have work to do. And again, young, rebuilding. There's some experience coming back, but I think the bulk of your talent is young. So the great thing about this team is that we're really talented. We're really experienced across the board. We have a lot of athleticism, a lot of speed. The bad thing about this team is we're young where it really matters, and that's in the trenches. And you guys know you build from the inside out. So I don't know exactly what the injury report looked like. I kind of went in unprepared, so I'll be honest about that. Maybe we had some guys out. But at this moment, some of the transfers that left, you can tell that there's some gaps, and maybe we'll address it. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm just worried about the trenches.
It's always hard to tell, though, in spring games because you're playing yourself. So
absolutely.
Are we really good offensively or are we really bad defensively? It's hard to tell.
But I'll say this, and you're 100% right about that. I'll say this. I thought that we were extremely sharp execution-wise in short yardage and on third down. And you guys know, like,
are you talking offensively or defensively or both?
In the red zone. Say again.
You're talking about offensively?
Offensively.
Okay.
First string offense, execution, very, very impressive. I don't think anybody would argue with that. I think that especially Walker Howard, he had some rapport with a couple of guys, not just Sampson. Ball was out. Ball was there on time. Every footwork was very impressive. I thought the intangibles offensively, first string especially, were there. I think it's unquestionable. I think Sam Altman, for me, was the standout guy that I did not expect. Sam Altman looked like he can run a team. So, Lane, maybe you saw the same. I don't know. Maybe you have another standout player, and we can get into that later. But overall impression, I like what we look like overall in the trenches. I think we have some work to do.
Yeah,
you're the second guy. I'm sorry, before you go, I was going to say you're the second guy to talk about Altman like that, because I heard somebody else that was there talk about him and say, where did this kid come from? So good to hear that. Sorry about that. Lane, go ahead.
Very good. I think Altman's actually our tallest quarterback on the roster as well. But it was good to see the first team offense execute the way they did. Bill Davis is just a man among boys. And our running game is still strong despite the departures and transfer portal and all that. And like you said, Sampson made some great catches. I believe the first touchdown pass was a bobble catch that he bobbled to himself, and he pulled it up and caught it. But like you said, defense is I feel like our biggest question mark again this year. Defensive line struggles a little bit still, but like you said, they're lean and young. So we'll see how that plays out, I guess. Now, I wish we did have a spring game to where we played another team to see how we would match up. How would y'all feel about doing something like that?
Would love it. And I think it's coming. I really do. When they figure out a way to monetize it, it'll be here.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one thing I want to see this season is we've got this kid that's 6'8", 6'9", Mackie Mayo, been on the roster forever. He's a redshirt senior this year. I need to see that kid push people around. You know, I feel like he's such a nice kid that it's almost like he's scared to make that hit, or, you know, and I want to see him get mad and be a dog this season. So I need him to step up for me on the O-line.
We never, ever get on here and talk bad about kids. And listen, I'm not talking
bad about it. No.
And I was going to say, I'm not talking bad about him. It's a good thing. It's going to serve him well in his life over 70 years. I promise, Mom and Dad, it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's bad. As far as I can see, and as far as my interactions, the kid is just a nice kid. He doesn't have that junkyard dog thing that you got to have when guys start punching you in the crotch and sticking their fingers in your eyes. He's just not that. He's a Fortune 500 salesman type guy. It's a great thing. It's not bad. He's a coach to me. He's a coach. He's,
but he's got the size, he's got the talent to be able to push guys around.
He's a beast.
I just want to see that. In fact, we have there's a recruit that came to my crawfish ball, and not for recruiting purposes. He just happened to be there with his family. Let's get that out the way. But he was talking about Mackie Mayo, and he's like, that guy's huge. And I'm like, yeah, he's a monster. I just need him to be pissed off. So I said, next time you see him, go hit him in the balls and see if that gets him going, But he's such a nice kid. You wish the best, but I want to see more out of the senior. I need to see some leadership, and I need to see some dog out of him, Josh.
Leadership. I think he's got great leadership. Lane, yeah. I think leadership, he's got that locked up. But he has the same problem that my kid has. Owen just is happy. He's just had a great...
Owen likes everybody.
Owen likes everybody, and everybody likes him, and he's never had a bad day in his life, and he's not out there trying to beat somebody down. It's just not who he is.
You know who is an a-hole? RC, who's on the line right now. RC, I know you were at the game this weekend. Tell us about your thoughts of the spring game over at Cajun Field, man. What's going on? I don't know. Did RC hang up on me? Maybe RC had enough.
He'll come back. Let me also say this. For people like me who watch the games and complain about the short game, several tunnel screens, several well, I'm not gonna say several, but multiple balls out in the flat where wide receivers were blocking, being physical, setting up the run game via the pass game. That shocked me. And we were doing that first, second, and third string, fourth string even. We were doing that a lot. So I expect to see a lot of tunnel screen. Now we have speed to do it this year, so that's great. Not that we didn't have it last year, but tunnel screens, wide receiver screen. I mean, the short passing game looked so crisp, and it was almost like they felt more leverage to make those play calls. And Walker Howard, we didn't even really talk about Walker. He's just sitting out there just delivering the pass like a point guard. And I mean, it was really nice to watch. Like I said, the execution was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with your boy right now. He's making some weird noise in his phone, but we can hear you now there, RC. So we can hear you now, brother. What's going on, man? I mean, I really didn't care, but how did your weekend go, RC?
Link, can you hear?
So the guys can't hear you for some reason. I'm still working on it. But guys, by the way, Preston's wife went over to RC's house and he had some of her gumbo. So that's interesting. Thanks for sharing with us, man.
Yeah, no problem.
So you want to attack that man's wife, Ryan?
No, good. Yeah, good weekend. Baseball, softball, both get the sweep. Spring game was fun. Got to go hang out on the sideline, have a couple frosty beverages, see the guys up close. I mean, we got some really, really big guys.
We do.
They look impressive physically and athletically as well. Kind of echoing Josh's comments about, just the execution. Like you said, it's kind of hard to tell in the spring because we're playing each other. But they look like they were a very disciplined team. If that makes any sense.
No,
that's a great point.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you guys is because you can't. I mean, you're playing each other, but like Josh said, when it comes to execution, that's important because it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you execute, you're good. But I want to ask again, like we were talking about size. Talk about the size on the O line, the D line, and all that good stuff because it felt like it was a really good. It felt like it was a really good from a size standpoint. The boys look like they're grass fed and ready to go for the season.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of the other two could.
Hey, while you get him back, I will say this: HUD had size too.
And with the white,
but these guys can play.
Like it was a backup, but I really wasn't paying attention that much to who was like the mixing and matching on the line. So how were they deciding who was going to be on what line for which team?
Yeah, and I'm going to let you go, Ryan, because I'm still having some problems on my end. So if you want to call back, you can. I just need to restart it. But Josh, you have any comments on what RC said?
Yeah, I need you to turn up the volume because I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. My computer's freaking out right now. Can you?
Nick's going full Jerry on the technology here.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. All right, how am I now, brother?
About the same, but I'll just turn it up on my end. So, based on what Ryan said, it's kind of a long answer, but I'll try to get to it. The bad thing about playing yourself is that you know the plays, you know what's coming, and 1v1 man on man. You know the swim move, you know the spin move from offense to defense. Like, you know the moves, you know the people that you're playing up against. So it's difficult to evaluate. But one thing you can evaluate is execution. So the reason why I kind of led and leaned on the execution that I was very happy with. I mean, even in the kick game, everything was very precise. And in years past, you could see where we were working in new kickers or whatever, new long snappers. The execution wasn't there. So the reason why you kind of hone in on the execution is because, first of all, everybody changed their number, so we didn't know who anybody was. Second of all, 1v1 doesn't really tell you anything because you're doing so much and you're practicing every day and you know everybody so well. It's not like playing, even like if we could play a Southeastern or a McNeese or whatever, that would be great. Just to be able to see somebody different. Maybe not on the same talent level, but at least it's somebody different who can surprise you with a few things.
I noticed that the holders for the kickers was the same on both teams, so that probably helped in that aspect.
Yeah, and you even had some guys. I thought they were wearing concussion helmets, but they were two-way players. Ryan actually told me that because when I got there late and I asked him about the black jerseys, and he said it's a two-way player. I mean, just the fact that we have so many moving pieces and guys were just able to execute. I think that's something that needs to be talked about because in years past, I mean, I go back to 2 years ago when we were in the indoor. Well, I guess that was 3 years ago when we were in the indoor. Zion stood out way, like he was the star of all stars, and he had 2 picks. And you know what I mean? Like the execution was sloppy and the offense just didn't look cohesive at all. You come away thinking, man, the defense is going to be really good. And the defense was pretty solid that year, the year we went to play Houston and lost in the bowl game. Remember that? But you come away from those spring drills and you go, execution was like, not this year. And regardless of how talented we are, let me tell you something. Go ask Bill Belichick. You can win a lot of football games with just executing the plays. All right. I mean, look at Boise State. Boise State has built a brand on being very good at executing plays and developing players. If we can do that here, as was evident on Saturday, we can be really good. I said this on Twitter, and I hate to be prisoner of the moment, but man, we look really good. We look really good. And I haven't seen any other spring game. I don't know what any other Sun Belt team looks like. I'm not trying to make predictions. I'm not saying we're going to go out and win all of our games. All I'm saying is that based on spring games that we've seen in the past, and with a lot of new turnover on the roster now, we look really good in a lot of areas. A lot of units look really solid. And most of it is because of the way we execute.
That is awesome. I was going to try to get Ryan back on, but my computer, I hate Windows machines. Can you hear me okay, Josh? Okay. I hate Windows machines because I can use this like 40 days in a row, everything works, and then just not going to work the way it's supposed to. So apologize to you, Ryan. Did want to hear more from you. But excited about what I'm hearing about the spring game, about what lies ahead for the Cajuns. Obviously we're going to play some, I think we open up with McNeese this year at home? Is that what the season?
Rice.
No, Rice.
Okay. And then McNeese.
Rice and McNeese. So not going to be 2 P5 teams that we have to worry, P4 teams that we have to worry about early in the season with a young team. However, we saw what Rice did to us a couple years ago. We can't let that happen. And then McNeese, you got to expect we're going to win that game regardless. So it'll give.
I do feel like we'll have a good crowd for the McNeese game, hopefully.
What?
Well,
Josh?
you're opening a stadium. You better have a nice crowd.
Don't play with me about McNeese and you saying that we're not gonna beat McNeese. Then,
hey, Lane, who outside of Howard, who stood out to you? Did you have somebody that really popped? I know you were on the sideline, so you could see a little bit more.
Yeah. I do feel like you mentioned, Altman came out of nowhere. I mean, I wasn't expecting him, and I believe he's a walk-on actually. So to see him perform like that made it it was really obvious. But also Sampson as well. I mean, I feel like you got a good 1-2 punch with him and Howard. He's tall, he's athletic, he can catch pretty much.
He looks every bit of a number one receiver as we've ever had.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I mean the running game is still strong, even with, like I mentioned, Bill and Perry, and then you got other guys that stepped up later in the spring game. So it'll be good to see.
The kid from Carencro, I want to say he was a Williams. Is he back this year? He got hurt last year
on the defense. They put him on the defense as a linebacker.
Wow.
Kendrell
so
Williams.
I'm pretty sure he played linebacker at Carencro for a while.
Yeah, I want to say they moved him halfway through the season last year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say he ended up the season on defense last year.
Stacked running back room, probably. Well, that's good. He's athletic, man. Doesn't hurt to have a running back as a linebacker.
Yeah, not at all. And we needed, I was going to say, Lane, when I cut you off, I was just mentioning with having a Sampson on the roster, you needed somebody to replace Harvey Broussard and Terrence Carter. And you got it with him. And you definitely feel like you upgraded at that position. I mean, I know Terrence was a tight end, but regardless, with Harvey Broussard, you got to feel like you made an upgrade there. Now Harvey's at U of H.
Who's that?
Going to be Harvey Broussard.
Who's that?
Yeah, well, he's a guy who won't be catching footballs from Zion Chris because
is this a person we should know? I'm not familiar.
Quarterback, yeah, don't know. Anyway, Somebody that we used to know, according to the song. All right, boys, before we go, do want to say it is May the 4th be with you, because today is May the 4th, and that means tomorrow is Cinco de Mayo. And I know some people like me are a little sarcastic about it and be like, oh, this is a manufactured holiday just so that, people can make more money, just like Valentine's Day. But in fact, it is, while not a holiday in Mexico, it is in remembrance of them defeating somebody in a war at some point in the 1800s. So regardless, we do celebrate that by going to Mexican restaurants and drinking lots of margaritas. And tomorrow it'll be on a Monday night, boys. My question for you, one, what are your plans for Cinco de Mayo? And two, what is your favorite thing about it? Is it or favorite dish or drink, I guess I should say. I'll go first. I'll say I'm always a fajitas guy, and definitely going to hit up. If I were in Lafayette, I would be probably door dashing a superior margarita, because I am not going to go try to battle that stupidity that will be at every Mexican restaurant tomorrow night. But if you are, congratulations. I know they have some things going on at like Agave and a couple of other places. Lane, we'll start with you. What are your plans for tomorrow night, and what's your favorite dish or drink that you're going to be enjoying for Cinco de Mayo?
So I will say this first: we have plenty of options in Lafayette for Mexican restaurants. So if you're worried about one or the other, I'm pretty sure you can have your picking.
Not only that,
but
you could go to the Mexican restaurant, get your car washed, and then grab a coffee on the way home.
Yeah. But I'll be hanging out with some friends, probably chilling by the pool and grilling. But usually I like to make a homemade salsa, which is actually what I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm a big quesadilla guy. So chicken, cheese, shrimp and cheese, just anything with cheese, and put it on a flat top and be good to go.
My guy likes the quesadillas. Josh, your thoughts on Cinco de Mayo? Are you as sarcastic as I am with the whole thing, or do you enjoy it with your family?
Can we address?
I don't want to address it, but you put it up there, so you address it.
Most restaurants in Lafayette have good Cinco de Mayo deals with drinks and food. Jerry, I thought you were busy. Where are you? What are we doing here?
That's the most obvious thing that I've ever seen. Anywhere in the United States, Jerry, are having good Cinco de Mayo deals.
I'm sure even Taco Bell has a Cinco de Mayo deal, honestly.
I was gonna say, what are we talking? What is our standard for good here?
Oh man.
Look, man, I am a red-blooded Caucasian American man. I don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I could care less. I didn't even know it was coming up. I celebrate May the 4th. May the 4th be with you more than I celebrate Cinco de Mayo.
You would say that. I expected that from you, and I'm proud.
Well, it's dumb. People can't wait to jump on some bullshit. They can't. They love it. Hey, how can we? Well, give me a reason to go out and drink 14 margaritas and call into work tomorrow. All right, if you just come at me with that. Would you like to drink margaritas at a Mexican restaurant on the 5th of May? Yes, I'm in. All right. Well, of course I'm not gonna celebrate their independence. I mean, this is a different country.
Josh, they have great deals at Mexican restaurants in Lafayette tomorrow.
Although I might get a margarita at Legends.
You could, yeah, seriously. You could go to like El Paso and eat. You could feed 4 people for $30. I mean, it's dog food. Of course, it's cheap. Gary's gonna get Cinco deported. That's funny.
Oh man. Well, anyway, I am gonna, like you said, it is an excuse to drink a margarita on a weeknight. So I'm gonna do that tomorrow night at this place called the Leashes. The neighbors are getting together, and I think the Rockets might be playing tomorrow night. I don't know. There's either baseball. My neighbors, we just find an excuse to get together, and then we're gonna do that tomorrow night and have some margaritas and some quesadillas as well. So
on that note, the food scene in Houston, once you've eaten Mexican food in Houston, and some of it's Tex-Mex, and I get all that, and I don't have to get it. I know people are gonna send me messages. Oh, it's still Tex-Mex. I know, because actual real Mexican food is terrible. But some of the best Mexican food, or whatever new Mexican food, whatever. I really like El Tiempo. And El Tiempo has like 50 restaurants now. When I started eating there, Coach Lou actually turned me on to El Tiempo years ago when Robe took the team to go play in one of the tournaments for what it was like the ALS Classic or the It was like some kind of benefit for kids with ALS or something like that. I don't remember what it was called, but now they call it the Astros Classic, the Houston Classic, something like that. Anyway, El Tiempo. If you're in Houston and you like Mexican food, El Tiempo is insane. Also, they have, I think it's a Venezuelan restaurant called Cyclone Anayas. Nick, have you ever had Cyclone Anayas?
I have not, no.
Cyclone Anayas is this old boxer who started restaurants after he retired from boxing. I think his daughter actually really pioneered all that. Food is insane. Cyclone Anayas, there's one downtown, there's one uptown, and I think those are the only two in Houston. But yeah, El Tiempo, Cyclone Anayas, you can't go wrong, dude. So, and once you eat that food, if you've eaten, like I've worked in Laredo, almost on the border. If you eat that food, you can't come back to Lafayette and go to El freaking Paso. You can't do it. It's ridiculous.
Josh, it's like even the food truck food here. It's insane.
It's the best.
Yeah.
The best tacos I've ever had in my entire life. This is true. Some random food truck, 4 a.m. street tacos, Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I have been searching for tacos like that, tried to make them at home. Cannot replicate those incredible street tacos that I had in Austin.
We've got them two places here. One is a food truck. There's also a place here that I've been to. So they also like, because there's so many Mexican places around here, they mix dishes together and it's a Mexican Mediterranean thing where they do a lot of fish in the Oh man, that is the best meal I've ever had. And
so
it's funny
Gabriella's in Austin has several of those. If you've ever been to Austin, you know Gabriella's. I mean, that place is absurd.
It was stupid because the whole thing's in Spanish, and I'm like, I can't read this shit, you know. But I'm just pointing. I see something that looks like shrimp, and I'm like, I want that. But it's just incredible, and it's not. I mean, you're not going to get fajitas there. Not going to get quesadillas. You're going to get some kind of mesh of Mediterranean and Mexican that is just ungodly. But even the regular Mexican places here are stupid. And I will say, I know Superior is kind of chain, and everybody's like, ugh. There are some dishes at Superior that are really, really good. I know.
It's not my thing,
I've
dude.
only been to the one in Baton Rouge. Only one of them.
The one in Baton Rouge is fine.
Good.
I like the one in Baton. You're talking about the one on Government, I think. That one's fine.
Highland. Yeah, the one on.
Is
Highland.
it high?
I think it's Highland, huh? Or Government. It might be Government. You might be right.
Catherine, where's Superior at on Government or Highland?
No. There's one on Highland, but it's one on Government. You're right.
But anyway, like if you take average Mexican food and then you pair it with bad service, I'm not going back.
It's not good. No.
Like you got to give me all the extra stuff for me to continue to go.
Now I will say top 10, top 5 in the Houston area. And I learned how to say it's not Humble, Texas. It's Humble. Okay. They got a Ponchos, baby. They got a Ponchos in Humble, Texas.
Get out of here. Still in an operation?
Still. I went a couple.
This is big news to people in Lafayette.
Oh, dude. And it's just as gross but so good as it was back in Lafayette, man. It's like one of those places, like going to Piccadilly for Mexican. It's like going to Piccadilly for Mexican. It's so good.
So where was that in Lafayette?
That was by Acadiana Lanes or Lafayette Lanes. Though it was right by where Twins is.
Oh, okay.
In that shopping center before they redid it.
Center? Yeah.
Hey Nick, I'm about to blow your mind. You ready for this?
Okay, tell me.
If you can see this.
Oh my God, Casa Bonita. What?
I went on a guys trip last year and we went to Casa Bonita. Wow. All right, look, the food is horrible. The food was terrible, but they bring you like you have I don't know. I think we had 7 choices, and then it came with a drink, and it was like $50. But you get to go and you see the divers, and you go and walk around into the little shooting alley, and it's just like on South Park. I felt like I was in an episode of South Park, but it was an experience. I'll say that. Like I didn't go there to eat, obviously, but I went to Casa Bonita in Denver, and it was an experience.
Well, like I said, Ponchos. It was just you go for the experience, man. You get to raise the flag. I mean, you want to talk about cultural appropriation, where you're raising a Mexican flag to get service at your table.
It's rough. We got away with some stuff in the 90s.
It's still there in Humble. I mean, you raise the flag, you get your sopapillas, man. You got to have those sopapillas.
Sopapillas go hard. Are we gonna say that El Portillo is top 3?
I don't even know what that is.
El Portillo, the old Pizza Village building on the north side. Not
just
the
know
new building, but the one that
Tampico's.
it started in.
I just remember Tampico's by the mall.
No. I'm talking about on Moss.
I think that's still open. Honestly, I saw the building
Tampico's is.
earlier today.
Dude, we were watching the World Cup, and the guy who owns it, I was having a conversation with somebody about Tampico's, and he goes, "It's still open. I own it. You should come." Oh, shit. Sorry, man. So they're still open.
Randomly went into Deanie's in the French Quarter because it was by the Ritz, and I was hungry, and I wanted to grab a beer and watch a baseball game. Walked in there, sitting, cutting it up with this guy next to me. He's like screwing with the bartenders and all that, and like buying rounds of beer, and I'm buying him shots, and we're doing this thing. And I'm like, go ahead and close me out. He's, I got you, man. I'm like, no, dude, we're good. He's like, I own the place. I was sitting next to the owner of Deanie's. Dude was a mess.
Well, in that case, you do got me.
Yeah, he did. He definitely did get me. Yeah, he hooked me up. All right, boys. Before we go, any final thoughts, Lane? Do you have anything for us before we call it a night?
It was good to get 2 sweeps this weekend, and good to see the spring game get underway and spring practice finished. Looking forward to the postseason of softball and baseball, and looking forward to seeing what football brings next season.
Josh, anything from me before we go?
I want everybody to come back. I know we kind of lost some interest here for a while. Baseball was not fun to watch, but we're in a good spot. So I do my best not to tell y'all how to be fans, but it's officially Southern Miss Hate Week. And if you can't get behind Southern Miss Hate Week, then what are you doing this for? This is why we come and be fans every year, and we follow the boys. Everybody needs to get back. We need to travel together as a pack and hate on USM all week. If you can get to Hattiesburg, get out there. It's a fun time. Been a few times, really enjoyed it. There will always be a contingent of Cajun fans. Hopefully some of these folks will be out there too. But if we can overcome Southern Miss this weekend, it's going to be a real feather in the cap going into the conference tournament. So let's do everything we can to support. We got a good pitching staff. They're pitching their butts off. I see some very good things in the baseball. In the future of baseball. And then also, like Lane said, the conference tournament starts on Thursday. Support the girls. They've been through a whole lot. They have an opportunity to do something very, very special coming up this weekend.
Nicely put. We're going to have a lot of fun, I know, this week with those fans. So invite all of you to join us and do the same. Before we go, I want to thank our sponsors, Award Master, Dr. Brett Venable with Acadiana Chiromed, Lafayette Roofing, Darren Domingue, what's up, ball? Eat Lafayette and Raging Hydration all make us possible. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend, have them subscribe to us as well. And also go check out rageandreview.com, where we do our best to post up to the minute updates on what's going on around Raging Cajuns athletics. All right, I got that all out the way, boys. For Lane, for Matt, aka Josh, aka Cardiac Commentator, I am Nick. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your night. Enjoy the week. We'll see you back here later this week to preview the Dirty Eagles of Southern Miss. Y'all have a good weekend, and of course, as always, go Cajuns.
At 10 I woke up with a drool.